Okay, well, back at Chapel Hill, we got an appointment with the dietitian. We're gonna be talking about the ketogenic diet. We've done it once before, but we didn't really think that we did it good enough. She wasn't eating a lot at the time. This was before we had the G-tube or the J-tube. We're at the hospital now, just kinda waiting. We just happened to get a parking spot right by the walkway. That's awesome. So we don't have to walk a half mile to get back to our car. And we got home safe. We're now in the edge of a Category 2 hurricane. If you guys thought that during the winter time this town looked like a ghost town, it definitely looks like a ghost town now. Like, there was no one out here. My sentiments exactly, Bargar Antique. Dorian, go away. But hey, the water drop shot. But I need to go ahead and get home before it starts picking up, because basically what the storm's doing is like sending rain bands. So you'll get pouring down rain and then a lull, and then pouring down rain and then a lull. And it looks like from those clouds over there that we're about to get a pouring down rain. Hashtag remember to turn on your mic, which means I'm using a powered mic this time. Review coming soon. The storm was not as bad as we thought, but we actually did still lose power.
These are just
By the way, this is not actually the M6 Mark II. This is the M3, which is way older and definitely not as good in some ways. But, I mean, you gotta have a clickbait thumbnail. Yeah, with Alessandra, a cold is a little bit more involved than just wiping her nose. I just recorded that without the mic on. Did you see me fall?
I want to see the waterfall.
So close.
Why are they closed? We can't go to the Arboretum, I know, but we sure can go to another park. And I'll see you. Hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Why can we not come to Zip Park? We need to go to another park because Zip Park Pocket Crowley. We can't go here. So, ooh, the weeds. Here's how we get out that way.
Now, there are two reasons why I will not be getting the Canon M6 Mark II. One is that it does not have 24 frames per second. That's a big deal to me. I prefer to shoot in 24 frames per second over 30 frames per second. And I am not going to get a camera that does not have the frame rate that I like to shoot at. And number two is I want a flip out screen. I would actually give up autofocus to get a flip out screen. That's a big deal to me. And if you're saying, well, it has a flip up screen, I, for like 5 or 6 months, vlogged with a flip up screen. I did not like it. And I was so happy getting the M50 with the flip out screen. It does make a huge difference, and I have zero intention of going back to a camera that does not have a flip out screen. Now, before we go into Canon bashing mode down in the comment section, let's actually talk about why they did what they did. But before we do that, this is the camera that my wife's family grew up on, and this was a nice one. It has a flip screen, it had VHS tapes. Some of you probably don't even know what that is. 12 times zoom, had a strap on the side. This was a nice camera for my wife's family growing up. It had a microphone right there in the front. Selfie screen. And with that being said, it's really hard to complain about anything about the M50. But I do understand that technology advances, and if Canon was still making cameras that shot on VHS tapes, that would be a big problem. That's not really the case though. The fact is that Canon is not making bad cameras. They're just making cameras that are lacking features. And it seems to me like most people are jumping to the conclusion that Canon is eliminating features just because they don't care about their customers or something like that. And I don't really think that's the case. When you're looking at what a company like Canon's doing, that is a huge company, they have so many things that they're thinking about that we as content creators just don't. They're looking at an overall market, and then they have people who it's their entire job to do market research, to figure out what people want. And what I think basically happened is that Canon decided to tap into a different market than I am part of, and a lot of you are part of, and every Sony shooter is part of. Basically what I think they're doing with the EOS M line is that they're trying to simplify it. They know basically what people want, and they're trying to simplify the camera because there's a lot of people who are still shooting 30 frames per second. I know I always recommend shooting 24 frames per second, but then again, if you're like MKBHD or in that tech reviewer space, you might actually prefer to even use 30 frames per second. MKBHD doesn't like to use 24 frames per second for his YouTube videos. And so I think when Canon was looking at it, they're like, we don't want to have tons of frame rates in a consumer camera that most people are barely going to change or notice if the frame rate changed. They said, well, what is the most common frame rate? And in America, that's 30 frames per second. And therefore, what I think happened basically, Canon looked at the entire market, they figured out which market they wanted to tap into, and we just happened to not be part of it. It's not anything nefarious, it's as simple as that, is that Canon was not trying to attract people like me, or like the people who are switching to Sony, and so if you're gonna ask, I probably will not be investing more into the EOS M system. I mean, okay, I might buy some more lenses for my M50, but I might just go with EF lenses so I can adapt them to any platform. I don't know. And last of all, if you're part of the market segment that Canon is trying to attract with the M6 Mark II, there is nothing wrong with you getting that camera. You are going to love it. The fact is that you shouldn't get a camera because of anything except your needs. Figure out what you need, what you want, get the camera that you need and you want. It doesn't matter what other people think about it. It only matters whether you're gonna use it and whether you're gonna enjoy using it. And if you're not gonna enjoy using a Canon because you feel like they cripple it, then don't get a Canon. It doesn't matter. Just get what you need to create the content that you want to create. And that's it. If you found this video helpful, which you probably didn't, but if you like this video, please give me a like, subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and I'll see you all in the next video.